Right. So we are looking at this poem by James Thomson, The City of Dreadful Night, which was written around the 1870s. So in this session, we are not doing a focused or a specific study of the poem. We are just having an overview of the poem for the benefit of extended reading, for the benefit of interest in poetry, and interest in the English language. So the title of the poem is The City of Dreadful Night by James Thomson. Let's look at the first stanza, and I have made some notes for you here. Stanza 1. The city is of night, perchance of death. One thing is quite peculiar here, the use of this preposition of. And we do know whenever the preposition of is being used, it usually shows ownership, belonging, right? So the city is being said here to be belonging to the night. The city is of night. And that raises a number of questions. We begin to ask ourselves if why would a speaker say that the city belongs to the night? And those questions, of course, will be informed by what we know about the night. We do know that the night is associated with darkness. We do know the night is associated with sleeping. Of course, there are stars and moons, right? And moon, right? However, now it's quite confusing for us to say the city is of the night because we expect the city to be vibrant, right? We expect people to be being busy, moving out and about at the city. But then now, this city, out of all things, the speaker says, is of night. So that raises questions. The speaker continues to say, maybe, perchance, this city is of death. And then the speaker continues to say, but certainly of night. So the speaker is convincing us that no, 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 the city is not of death. The city is most definitely of night. Then the speaker is going to give us reasons now as to why do they say that the city is of night. The first reason they give, they say, for never there can come the lucid morning's fragrant breath. There we get a personification where morning, being a non living concept, is being given a human quality of breathing, that is personification. So the speaker says, there has never, or there never can come the clear lucid, the clear morning's fragrant breath. So breath refers to the air around the city, right? And I've explained the personification, right? Only people breathe, and then now the speaker says the morning breathes. That is personification now. And then this breath refers to the air around the city. So there we get an extended metaphor because the speaker started by using personification. After personifying, the speaker is also now using the metaphor, employing the metaphor, comparing breath to air, simply to signify the idea that the air around the city is quite polluted because the speaker says the air, the breath, and the breath that is of a lucid fragrance can never be experienced or observed at the city. So the city is polluted. That's what the speaker is suggesting here. After the dewy dawning's cold grey air. So the air is grey, pollution. The air is cold again. But why are they selecting the word cold? Are they referring to the way the air just being simply cold? Or is this cold a symbol or symbolizing a certain people or symbolizing harsh or cold circumstances that is still to be unfolded to us. The moon and stars may shine with scorn and pity. We do get another personification there where the human quality of giving a scorn and pity is being given to the moon and stars. Then again, this makes us to have more questions. Why would the moon and the star feel or show pity for the city? What is it that would make the moon and the star to be sorry for the city? And again, what is it that will make the moon and the stars to be disgusted at the city to such an extent that they will show scorn? We are eager to find that one out. The speaker goes on to say the reason they say that the city is of the night, it's because the sun has never visited the city. For it dissolveth. We get a hyperbole there, we get an exaggeration. The speaker is saying the sun dissolves in a daylight fair. It's not only a hyperbole, we also get a paradox there because the speaker just said the sun dissolves, and wherein the sun dissolves, there is a daylight fair. How can you have a daylight if the sun dissolves? So we get a paradox there. But the speaker has successfully proven to us that, of course, the city is of the night. The city is of the night simply because the air is foul, the air is gray, simply because the sun, that's the outstanding reason, simply because the sun has never visited the city. And the reason the sun has never visited the city is because if it dares to visit, it dissolves. And we are so eager to find out now what makes the sun to dissolve. Right, let's go to stanza 2. When you look at stanza 2, in the first line there is a simile. The speaker says, dissolves, dissolveth like a dream of night away. So the event of the sun dissolving is being now compared to the dream one would have while sleeping. So the sun dissolves like a dream of night away. When you are dreaming, the dream is there, suddenly it fades away. The same thing happens to the sun as it approaches the city, it dissolves, then it's gone. Is the speaker referring to the actual sun? That's the question. Though present, oh, then the speaker now is clarifying the paradox they made. So the sun is actually present though present in distempered gloom. So the sun is present in a distempered gloom, and distempered refers to a political disorder. Though present in distempered gloom of thought, so this political disorder is happening in the mind. So the sun is present, however, in the distempered gloom. So this implies that the light from the sun cannot be experienced, cannot be seen, because there is gloom, bad conditions, gloom of thought. But these bad conditions are really affecting or compromising the state of the mind. Now we wonder whose state of the mind? Though present in distempered gloom of thought and deadly weariness of heart all day. So we have an element of unidentified agents whose hearts are worried, whose hearts are tired. However, this weariness is deadly. It's not the ordinary worry that we know. However, this weariness ultimately leads to death. People ultimately die due to this weariness of their hearts all day. What's making the people to be worried? Is it what the moon and the stars look with scorn and pity? So they're looking with scorn at the things leading to the unidentified agents to die, and they are pitying the unidentified agents because they are dying, because, of course, the unidentified agents have their minds filled with gloom. So that's why the moon and the stars are pitying such. But when a dream, night after night, is brought, remember the dream referred to is the event of the sun dissolving. But when a dream night after night is brought throughout a week, and such weeks, few or many, recur each year for several years, can any discern that dream from real life in art? So now, if such a dream happens night after night throughout the week, and such weeks are many or few, and that happens for several years, can a person really look at that and say that dream is from a real life at all? That is a rhetorical question. It's an idea one should ponder around. So now the speaker is trying to suggest to us that this dream is actually unreal. It's nothing that is common in life, right? Let's proceed to stanza 3. For life is but a dream. So the speaker is using a metaphor here. They are saying life is a dream whose shapes return. So the things we encounter in life, those are the shapes, they return. The things we encounter in life, they are recurring. I think that's quite agreeable. Whose shapes return, some frequently, some seldom, some by night and some by day, some night and day, we learn. So the speaker is saying life is a dream, and I said by the shapes, they are referring to the endeavors one encounter in life. So these endeavors return, of course. Some they return more frequently. The things you encounter in life, some of them happen more frequently in your life, while others happen seldom, while others only happen to you at night, others only during the day, and others both day and night. So in the process, we learn the while all change and many vanish quite. So as we encounter shapes of the dream in life, things in life, some of these things change while many of them just vanish altogether. In their recurrence with recurrent changes, a certain seeming order. That is the order of things in life. Things should happen like that in life. They happen at different degrees, different frequencies. Some change, some just go away. That's the order, the seeming order in life. Where this ranges, we count things real. So if we encounter shapes or situations of this kind, then we are greatly convinced that such shapes or circumstances are real. Such is memory's mind. And the mind has the power to actually discern that things which are happening like this are real. So what is the speaker trying to say now? Are they trying to say that the shapes that they are encountering in this poem, or the things they are facing in this poem, or the things being faced by the unidentified agents in this poem are quite unreal? They are not happening at a common frequency, and they are not changing. They remain the same for a period of time that has never been seen in life. Perhaps that is what they are suggesting. Then we proceed to stanza 4. A river gets the city west and south. We have a very operational word there. The river gets. And to get something means you are covering it, you are cycling it, protecting it, you are going around it. So the river goes around the city, west and south. The main north channel, main meaning the most important of the rest, the main north channel of a broad lagoon, re-gauging with the salt tides from the mouth. Waste marshes shine and glister to the moon. Going to stop just here because this is quite new for us, that now we see these words being used, shining and glistering to the moon. It has been darkness, it has been gloom, it has been night, and so forth. So the river gets the city. So the river is expected to be protecting the city. Could the river be referring to the lords or the people who are supposed to be in charge of the city? Could it be the president? Could it be the mayor, councillor, monarch, whatever authority it is supposed to be in charge of the city? So that is what is being compared to the river. So the river gets the city west and south. The main north channel of a broad lagoon, re-gauging with the salt tides from the mouth. And when you re-gauge something, you take it in and out, the way the ocean does. So is the speaker referring to the ocean that we know, or the ocean is being used as an institution to symbolize a particular authority that is exploiting an unidentified agent, taking them for use, then throwing them out, taking them for use, then throwing out. So re-gauging with the salt tides from the mouth, the waste marshes. And when we refer to a marsh, those are waterlogged lands. Waste marshes shine and glister to the moon. So we have very operational words here, a lagoon, and one will know that a lagoon is referring to the shallow waters which have been separated from the ocean, right? So you have the deep ocean and you have the lagoon. The lagoon seems to be an elite part as compared to the ocean. So this lagoon could be referring to the authorities. So the authorities are not encountering circumstances that are deep as the circumstances of the people living at the city. So they are at an elevated position, right? And they are just a small group. Look at the marshes, smaller than the ocean. So this is a small group of the elite that is shining and glistering to the moon. So they are having their leisure, their lavish life, whereas people at the city are suffering. For leagues, then moorland black, then stony ridges, great piers and causeways, many noble bridges. Now we get the idea. These are noble people. They have bridges for themselves. They have causeways, and causeways refer to the roads above the part of land covered with water, so they can rise above the circumstances that beset the people of the city. So they have means of surviving and living their lavish life while the people in the city are quite suffering. So these bridges connect the town and island suburbs strewn. And these people even enjoy vast space on the land. Their suburbs are strewn, meaning their suburbs are scattered around. They are not concentrated, they are not cramped. They have vast land to occupy, unlike the people at the city. Then you go to stanza 5. Stanza 5 says, upon an easy slope it lies at large, and scarcely overlaps the long curved crest, which swells out 2 leagues from the River March. A trackless wilderness rolls north and west, savannas, savage woods, enormous mountains, bleak uplands, black ravines with torrent fountains, and eastward rolls the shapeless seas unrest. This also reiterates what has been said on stanza 4, that there is actually an open land, unoccupied land that is exclusive to the elite society or the elite members of the society, while there is unrest at the sea being the city, the deep sea that is the city. There are unrest here. People are not living good life or living at desirable living conditions or conditions. Then you go to stanza 6. The city is not ruinous. So the city is not ruinous, although great ruins of an unremembered past. Is this past being unremembered perchance or deliberately? I would love to think deliberately. So the city is not ruinous, although great ruins of an unremembered past, the city of dreadful night with others of a few short years ago, more said, are found within its precincts vast. So there are places or sites, although the city is not in ruins, but there are parts of the city which remind the people of the city of certain things which almost ruined them, of certain things which they regard as ruins, which they regard as great ruins. Maybe places where people died, maybe places where people were hijacked, or places where sordid, deplorable things actually happened. The street lamps always burn, but scarce a casement. And a casement refers to the window. Scarce a casement in house or palace, front from roof to basement. So we get the idea these people were being ruled by a monarch. That's the idea we are getting, because here is the diction. The word is palace. I've just underlined it. So the street lamps always burn, but scarce a casement in house or palace palace front from roof to basement does glow or gleam athwart the Mac aircast. So we get the idea here that the street lamps are always burning around the city, but there is not a single window in the house or in the palace front from roof to the basement that glows or gleams across the dark air that is being casted. So it's dark in the city, although the darkness supersedes the lights from the street lamps. It is that dark, not even a single window reflects the light from the street lamps, not in the palace, not in the houses, simply because there is darkness around the city. Why was it dark around the city? If it were climate change, what caused the climate change? You must do extensive research around the poem. Let's proceed. Stanza 7. The street lamps burn amid the baleful glooms. So they are threatening living conditions. People fear for their lives. So the street lamps burn amid the baleful glooms, amidst the soundless solitudes immense. People are also living lonely lives, and there is nothing vibrant. There are no sounds. It's quiet. So amid the soundless solitudes immense of ranged mansions, dark and still as tombs. So the mansions are also still, the mansions are not moving, and they are being compared to tombs suggestive of death, giving the idea that people were actually dying, right? Right. So the diction of that, the mansions are still as tombs, is further suggestive of death around the city. The silence which benumbs or strains the sense. So it's super quiet, deadly quiet here. And the way it is so quiet, it benumbs or strains the sense, making it difficult for people to psychologically function as they should. It fulfills with awe the soul's despair and weeping. So people are filled with sorrow and they cannot even weep now. They are just uh, numb. That's what they are. Myriads of habitants are ever sleeping. So the people are always sleeping. So if not sleeping, they are dead or fled from this nameless pestilence. It's a disease, it's a pandemic, it's a virus. Stanza 8. Yet, as in some necropolis, a necropolis is a graveyard cemetery. Yet, as in some necropolis, you find perchance one mourner to 1,000 dead. Many were dying and only a few survived. So there, worn faces that look deaf and blind. So the faces of the mourners would look deaf and blind. It's not that they were deaf or blind, it's their minds that were so depressed such that they would act as if they could not see, they could not hear, they were greatly depressed, like tragic masks of stone with weary tread. Even when they walk showing you that they are full of worry, they are tired, they are shuffling, each wrapped in his own doom. They wander, and to wander means to move around aimlessly or sit for done. If you are for done, you are killed or destroyed. Then they will sit destroyed and desolately ponder through sleepless hours with heavy, drooping heads. Stanza 9. Mature men chiefly, few in age or youth, so people were dying, so there were few grown up men, as much as younger men were also few. A woman rarely, so there were few of women, so many of them were dying. A woman rarely, now and then a child. And of course, we had few children because, of course, if there were few women, there were few children as well. A child. If here the heart turns sick with ruth to see a little one from birth defiled. So from birth, the lives of the children were corrupted or lame or blind, as preordained to suffer, to languish through youthless life. So the lives of these children were youthless. Remember, William Shakespeare calls your days of youth one's salad days, meaning this is the age or phase where you have fun, where you are innocent, as William Blake calls it, the songs of innocence. This is where you play with snow. This is where you climb the trees. This is where you pick up stones. You play around. You just be a child. You run to grass. You run to dew. You run out of the house when you're not supposed to because it's raining. You play in a puddle. You paddle the mud and so forth. You throw yourself in a pond and so forth. You play with Rocky. That's youth. That's youth. That's youth. However, these children had a youthless life. They did not have their songs of innocence. They could not enjoy their salad days. Think how it bleeds with anguish. Instead, the children were bleeding in pain Oh, this was so, so bad for the children. To meet one erring in that homeless wild, and some of them were even homeless. Stanza 10. They often murmur to themselves. They speak to one another seldom. So these children will not converse to each other, they will rather speak to themselves. For their woe broods, maddening inwardly. Their difficult situation affects them deeply inside, right? And scorns to wreak itself abroad. And if at whiles it grow to frenzy, which must rave, none heeds the clamour. And then if the kids will then suddenly start making noise, cacophony, senseless noise, arguing, screaming, no one will actually pay attention to the noise unless there waits some victim of like clamor, unless there was someone who was also seemingly not mentally stable, they will join in the noise and they will find it entertaining. To rave in turn, who lends an attentive show, then it will become a show. Stanza 11. The city is of night. The speaker has proven this to us successfully, but not of sleep. Now I'm quite confused because earlier on the speaker said this is the city of the night, where people would ever sleep, others will die, others will escape. But then now the speaker is saying this city is, of course, of the night, but not of sleep. What does he mean by this? Their sweet sleep is not for the weary mind. So people could not sleep because, of course, their minds were weary, tired, so they could not sleep. The pitiless hours, like years and ages, creep. This would take forever. A night seems a tameless hell. This dreadful strain of thought and consciousness, which never ceases, it doesn't stop. They were conscious of the situation. People were well aware of what was happening. That made it more difficult. Or which some moments stupor, but increases. This worse than a woe makes wretches there insane. So this situation drove people crazy, not only the children. They leave all hope behind who enter there. So whoever access to enter the city left hope behind, meaning everyone in the city was hopeless. One certitude, while saying cannot leave. So one assurance I could give you is that whoever had been in the city will never leave the city still being sane. One antidote for torture and despair. So one painkiller, one immunization, or one vaccine for torture and despair. It is the certitude of death. So the only painkiller that people had here for torture or despair is the assurance that that at the end of it all they were going to die with no reprieve can put off long with nothing to stop it from happening, and which divinely tender the city of the dreadful night, but waits the outstretched hand to promptly render that draught whose slumber nothing can bereave. So nothing could stop death happening or people stop people from dying at this city. Stanza 13. Did I not skip a stanza? No, I didn't. Stanza 13. Though the garden of thy life be wholly waste, the sweet flowers withered, the fruit trees barren, over its wall hang ever the rich, dark clusters of the vine of death, within easy reach of thy hand, which may pluck off them when it will. So all in all, death was inevitable during the at the city during this time. One thing was certain, one thing was for sure, that people will eventually die. Of course, the speaker creates these very dark, ominous ideas, saying sweet flowers withered, the fruits that had to bear trees were barren, and then this death is being compared to a vine tree. So there were clusters of rich and dark vine of death within easy reach of your hand. So it was easy for people to just die. It was just small things, then people would easily just die. So then that was the situation at the city, and the title of the poem was The City of the Dreadful Night by James Thomson. So as I said at the introduction that in this session I'm just doing an extensive overall, not guided or led rather focus at the session. So if there are any emerging questions from the session, please comment. Write on the comment section what are your questions. If you would like us to focus on certain issues, specify those issues, and then we can have a session where we look at those particular issues. If you feel that certain literary devices or poetic devices must be addressed, or you want clarity on certain stanzas, lines, or the use of poetic techniques, you can post and then we can look at that. And I also want you to work out and write down on the comment section for me if what is this city? Where is this city? Which city do you think is being referred to in this poem, The City of the Dreadful Night? What was this city? And you shall know this poem is based on a real life historical scenario or situation. Where was this happening? In which country and in which city? I really challenge you to do that, and let's have a conversation on the comment section and we shall proceed. Thank you so much.